Hello people, how's it going? Now for some updates. Okay, it's a bit of prop 2 and maybe I'm just gonna toss that mic a tad bit on the side because the mic popping is pissing me off as well. Anyhow, bit of an update. 1 week in and I already see some flaws with the previous initiative. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the quick tier, people. Yes, I already saw some problems there, and it's fascinating to just look back at it and kind of like take notes and analyze what went on. So I was working on a piece before this one, trying to get with the quick tier and tell myself, alright, let's keep it to what's been shown, pencil, and then adding color on top of it, digital color on top of it, and let's go for it. And already when it came to time, that specific sketch I did and redid and tried multiple things as well, along with thumbnails. So I couldn't properly just do it out the bat. That was not an option, that didn't work. And then as soon as it came to coloring, I just hated it. Like, when it came to that format, that previous format that I showed, I just hated it. And it came to a point where I kind of just laid the pencil there and started wondering, okay, well, what's going on? Well, laid the Intuos pencil, just wondering what was going on. So picked up the journal, started writing it down. What happened? What is my current view of this situation? Why do I feel like dislike it this much? And the answer basically came down to, well, it's not the level I can give. When it comes to digital coloring, I'd rather ink and color. And something that popped up right after is, well, it's going to take more time and it may not fit that specific budget. And I circled that, basically going, well, look, what's the outcome? Because those two things, time and budget, just keep popping up. And they're legit questions, yet they keep popping up. And the answer to what the outcome is making a cool fucking picture slash YouTube thumbnail for the commissioner, which I'll put the link there as well. That's kind of like spoiling their LP, not necessarily, they spoke about it earlier on, but still. So basically giving them a cool pick, but the second outcome was enjoying the piece, getting experience from the piece. And this just placed everything in front of me. Love journaling. Again, I will not stop recommending that. So this was kind of like eye-opening at this point, because every time I kept into this, or I kept being in this reactionary state, because of finances, because of projects that I want to do, because, you know, because of this, because of that, because of that. Like, there's always a reason for this reactionary state. And clearly catching it and seeing the effect it had within a week, without waiting for 2 weeks or the end of the month or next month to change things. Just catching it within a week and taking that time to ask the right question for the situation just put things in perspective. And, you know, just kind of gave me a jab to the face going, well, yo, wake up. What the hell are you doing, you know? So at that point, I just told myself, well, look, what this needs is balance. Sure, it's going to take a couple of hours more, or it's going to take an hour more, some more time. Sure, but in the end, getting a cool freaking picture, getting that thumbnail done, getting cool art done, learning from that experience. is monetary value on its own. Why? Because I can give that skill, I can apply the skill to more pictures, to more drawings, to more, either for other people or for my own comic. And that brought in another thing, looking at this commission as like not a training ground, but let's say more experience for the comic as well, and this back and forth between commission from experience from commission and then experience from the comic, helping me towards more commissions or towards upcoming commissions. So at that point, what kind of happened was just this reset, or maybe just reprogramming in a sense of perspective and perception, like having a different but more healthy perception of the whole situation, of this art zone. And this, again, this kind of links back to a couple of the flaws that I need to work on when it comes to being a perfectionist, when it comes to trying to absolutely get a specific type of quality because of blah 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 blah. And while in the end, again, the outcome, never gonna stop hammering it, is getting cool shit work done. And to say it in such a way where it's fun, not being the outcome is getting pieces of work, commercial, no, let's just make it some cool, badass work, and having fun with it, having it something that will pop up on YouTube. That's the outcome. And constantly keeping that message either in front of me or in my head. I want to hammer it in my head non-stop, because as you know, there's this perfectionist demon, that freaking perfectionist gremlin that always goes, it has to be this, it's got to be one way or another. And as I'm just breaking this down, something else kind of popped up at that moment where, okay, well, let's try to link back that perfectionist aspect. Okay, well, part of it is my parents. Yet a big part of it was my father's type of, one of his flaws was being a prideful and arrogant, He had some, again, he's not a complete monster, of course. Don't think I'm just ragging on him. It's just discerning attitudes that I have, that influence the way I am, and certain things that I might pick up. And one of those might have been a toxic combination of pride with this perfectionism aspect, because you gotta be prideful in what you do, right? You gotta love being at a certain level. And it's like, Jesus Christ, fuck, man, bad combo. Having this sort of pride, because to a certain degree it's hard to ask for help, it's hard to allow yourself to make mistakes. Like there's a lot of things, and I'm kind of noticing that, okay, well, look, I'm gonna need to investigate even more into that, because to a certain degree there's certain techniques, basic techniques, that I have stopped using before, because maybe unconsciously I'm like, well, I don't need to use those techniques, or I should be able to draw this way that I want to draw. And it's like, well, wait a minute. There is always a use to simplicity, like simplicity and basic. I forgot the famous quote, but let me butcher it. Mastery is basically an amazing understanding of the fundamentals of reducing things to sheer simplicity, and that's part of the journey. I kind of need to figure that out as well. So there is balance to it, and not only for the fact of going back towards the basics, but at the same time not becoming, let's say, latching on to criticism, not latching on in a negative way, meaning not solely remaining focused on what's being said, but being able to make a dissertation between what I can use from a specific critic or criticism, or a critique, what I can use from a critique, or what is basically someone else's preferences in what they would want to see from art. And I do remember a time, like early time, where I would be so hungry for criticism, yet it drew me in so many directions that at one point I'm like, well, okay, screw it. But at the same time, at that time, I didn't fully know where I wanted to go. I had an idea, but expressing where was, again, it was difficult to me. Yeah, when it came to self-awareness, again, it wasn't really taught. So it's having that balance, that flow between seeking help but not remaining, how do you say it, needy, not being too needy, not being too, using it as a crutch, not using it as an excuse, like having this fine balance between both, yet not being afraid to ask for feedback, or not having it be a soul-crushing experience, or not having it be like that perfectionist, stale standard to say, okay, well, I've got this feedback, I now have to follow it to the point. You see, it's a fine balance, and again, all of this is a personal thing, but because this doesn't apply to everyone. Of course, everyone has a different track record, a different history record, and a different set of, let's say, mental barriers or mental works to do. And hell, it's all part of life. It's all a step in life. Yet I'm glad from that experience, that trying to get some quick tear going, I'm glad that I kind of just hit that wall and started asking the right questions. The wrong questions would have been, don't I like to draw anymore? Why do I suck? Of course, the wrong questions, or I call them the wrong questions because there's no right answer. There's no answers that would allow for growth. Those would basically be negative questions getting negative answers and not leading to a good outcome. So it's fun just learning all that. And a question for you, ever had this kind of experience? No joke. We want to get some more people to talk about these kind of experience. It's always fun to learn from other people and have some discussion going, because hey, it's all a battle we have to face, you know. We all have these good and bad sides, these positive and negatives to deal with, and finding a balance between both, because you don't want to be perfect, right? There is no perfection. So finding a balance is always interesting, and hey, some people's strategy may apply to others, some may not, but that's life. That's a balance, alright? So I'd like to hear some comments, some discussions going. Tell me if you ever had this questioning of yourself moment. Tell me what you learned from it, alright? In the meantime, I'm gonna learn some more from this. Now I'm gonna write some more stuff in the journal and then off to the next piece. I got a job to get going. Thanks a lot, people. Thanks for your support and patience. See you in the comments.